Good afternoon, Scott Redler, T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap. It is Wednesday. We have one more day left of the week, a holiday shortened week. It's definitely been interesting. Lots of gappy type action where they want to confuse you, fill you with misdirections, and I think everyone is a little tired and could use a holiday weekend. So I actually had a special request from someone from Redler All Access to play this song, and it actually put a little bit of a smile to my face. So let's see if you can guess it. Nice. All right. Well, this is playing. I'm just going to put up the chart of the spiders, okay, and the SPX, and I'm going to mark it up while you listen to the song, all right? So let's go to the chart. All right, let's turn that down a little bit, Freddie, so they can hear me. All right, so here you go. Here's a chart of the SPX. You know, this was your first stop when it took out 2110, okay, which negated the quick move above the descending channel. Then you had your follow-through move below, this ascending channel, which some think was the neckline of this head and shoulders top type pattern. And now what you're having is a bounce off the 200-day. And if you look here, little red dog reversal. So if you got long yesterday on the reversal and you held through today and you didn't turn on your computer, because if you turned it on, you probably wouldn't have held, you have yourself a nice day-and-a-half move. Now the question is, how much further could it go? And would it get rejected? So if you remember, I had resistance 1. It's a good little beat there. No kidding. Anyway, so there's your 2072 that we talked about. Tested it a few times today. Your next point of reference from my morning note was, look at that right there, 2082. So resistance 1, almost resistance 2-ish. That was this whole little zone. And then here's that rubber match spot. So basically, I know everyone would like to be, weekend, party time. It feels like everyone actually is already there because the volume is just so light. We're in the midst of re-back testing. So are we going to re-back test and fail, or are we going to get there, reclaim it, and continue? So most of the things in my note today were focused on, like, where can we bounce to? We talked about the strength in the bios and said, okay, Day 1 bounce off the 50-day. Yesterday, then you had your strength, and resistance will be a spot to sell, and some guys actually got short. So if you look here at the IBBs, okay, doesn't it make a little bit of sense, to sell your long into this first time it gets there? That was how I came up with the number. And I come up with numbers not because it's thin air, just because basically this is where it false breakout, test a 50-day. Yesterday was your obviously day to get long because today was you couldn't, and then that was your sell. Okay, so selling into strength, and now we got to figure out what's next here. Are we going to build some kind of wedge type pattern and and continue to the upside or not? A lot of things did this. The Russell, I said 126.25, and granted it closed a little stronger, but how did I get that 126.25? This was resistance 2, and this was your moving averages. So, granted, look at all these red bars. Not much power there. Held support. It actually came down and tested it today. But the first easiest trade was, I guess, shorting that strength there. And if you did that, you made some money. Now, the jury's kind of out a little bit. We look at like Goldman. Goldman also talked about. I gotta stop saying talked about. How it broke this area and broke below support. And what does support becomes resistance, and look at this crappy little rally back up to there. So the better trade was selling it. At the end of the day, I actually tried to be long it, and whatever, I got bored because of the size of the pullback that it had. First of all, if you were short into that resistance, that could have been tier 1, and then look at this nice little flag. Here's your tier 2, or you're not in tier 1, you wait for this to be your tier 1, and then it basically held half of it, and then this was your second spot, and then it came all the way in, and then towards the end of the day, we were trying to catch a little bit of a bounce and gave you a little bit of a bounce, but nothing special. But overall, not special, type of action there, but, something to do. I feel like a lot of things I said in today's note, I'm like, this isn't special, but it could do that. Same thing goes for Apple. I'm like, Apple bounced yesterday. It's up a buck and change. It's not really special, but it could see, I think I said 127. Those were the charts that I attached. And granted, what did it do? Nothing real special. Okay, held this little spot. And then where did it go to? 120, look at that, what was that? 126.94, almost 127. Because that's pretty much where it pretty much broke down from right there. So all it did is bounce like that. So at this point, it's still not doing anything special. A lot of people I talk to still think it's just consolidating in this long channel, which it could be, because look at the size of the move that Apple's had. Okay, so being in this range really isn't the end of the world. It's just that you have to be very, very patient. At a decent move here that created a lower high and failed. And ever since then, it's just been pretty much a choppy mess where you've had to buy it on the lows and just, scalp it and then short it when it's up and not pay up. And granted, that's not like when we like to play Apple. We like to buy high and sell higher. And we'll see maybe after earnings, maybe a little later this year. We'll figure it out. But some of the stocks that are doing that were, we mentioned FIT, F-I-T, FIT, which is one of the wearables, the technology, kind of like the Apple Watch, but they came first. Good new issue. A lot of guys have been watching it. I think I went over it in the morning call 2 days ago. I put it on Redler All Access, and I even think in regular Twitter today, showing you, the potential of what could happen with, with new issues when that are very exciting and there's not a lot of other things to do. So the first chart I think I, put it here was this one with like that. Okay, and I said if it gets above 34.40, it could get going, and that was the day. In today's chart, I was like, watch this 40 area, because if it breaks above a prior IPO high, there's nothing to the left, and you could see a big move. So this is actually where I made my money early on, because it pushed through and gave you a nice move. So this is what FIT did today. Oh, look at that. So hopefully you weren't stuck in Apple land or stuck trading monotonous things. You maybe traded this, and it's not the easiest thing to trade. It moves fast, but there you go. Nice trade. Okay, nice move. Hopefully you're getting to know this thing. There's not a lot of growth out there, so people are looking for it. And also, there's no memories. Remember I showed you what happened with GPRO way back in the day before it turned into a piece of, right here, just to show you. In the beginning of an IPO, the beginning of a move, when shares are tight, this was your first move. This one actually took a little bit more time. Look what happens when you break above the prior IPO high. You get going, and then you stay with it as long as it stays above the 8 and 21 day. And look how long this thing stayed above. This was another nice setup. 8 and 21 day until finally breaking here, and then pretty much finally coming out of play right there. That was when it was game over for GPRO. Baba did the same thing before Baba turned into a piece of what. Okay, here is where pulled in. Remember we talked about that 120 target earlier on when there's no memories and there's a lot of potential. Well, here is boom. Look what happened when it traded above the IPO high, because that was your last point of reference. And then look at that move. So if you're a momentum trader and we need to find momentum, there's not a lot of momentum out there, you better look for stuff like that. And then you had your outside day here, and then it was trapped in the downtrend there, and then, whatever. It doesn't even worth talking about. I haven't looked at Bob in a while. What was the other new issue that did pretty well? Oh, well, obviously Tesla from way back when. This is way back when, so boom, it's on its way. And, it's actually been acting very well lately. Let's see, here's your move. I figured it wouldn't really hold above this high right now because it just had a big 3-day move. Okay, but it's still above the 8 day, still above the 21 day. It's been doing very well ever since breaking this little mini downtrend. It's another pattern you want to follow. You want to see when a downtrend breaks. Downtrend breaks, okay, that means you may start a new trend, then you go sideways and you reclaim the 200 day, it's a good swing trade. And then you could trail it and trade it as long as it stays above the 8 and 21 day. Stock that looks very similar to that is MBLY. MBLY, is a big stock. Remember last year, just to show you also, look, this was the post-IPO high. So look what happened when it traded above the post-IPO high. Gave you a move from 40 to almost 60. Then it turned into, had some secondaries, had to get on the right accumulation, and then look at this downtrend. Broke above the downtrend, and actually it all started with a little baby red dog reversal. People like, what's a red dog reversal? Well, this one was probably one of the best ones you ever could have done. Look how from here all the way down, from there all the way down, it broke below 32.72, put a low in at 32.41, 30-cent risk, and did it ever violate it? First of all, look at the size of this move. 30-cent risk, and you could have made almost $9 just with that strategy. And look how it stayed above the 8-day the entire time. Okay, whatever, that's memory lane. Now let's fast forward to where we are here. Last really nice pivot was when it broke above that really quickly, and now it's held the 21-day back on earlier this week, so you couldn't expect a full breakout today, but at some point I think this will take that out, and if they happen to have really good earnings, which they might, which I think that they're ramping it up, this should not be a problem, and at some point, who knows? I personally think this could be a $100 stock at some point, but that's just my thoughts. We talked about the little wishy-washy nature of cybersecurity. FireEye was the best one. It bottomed earlier in the week, on the 50-day, and then had a decent move yesterday, so it was up $1 today, so I'm like, I think it's a better sell than a buy. And if you didn't have it, some guys actually caught a cute short there. It's just giving us a lot of nice moves this week, okay, and this year. This is when it broke above that 46, and then look at the retest. You had a topping tail right there as your sell signal, or when it broke the 8-day. So, into the volatility of the week, you could have bought here, had a day yesterday, and then, first time it gets to the moving averages, or it gets back, it's probably going to be rejected, and that's what happened here. So, buy here, hold there, trim, okay. And if you shorted there and you covered, and then we're looking for a spot to short a rally, well, you made some money today. I'll tell you, CYBR is looking a little tough here. People like Red Dog, do you think this is over? I'm like, I don't know if it's over. I don't think it's over, but it's not acting so well. This was your stop when the prior high got violated right there. Look at this outside day. That was a good sell signal there after another nice move. And then when it broke it, you could have been out, and now it's testing longer-term support where it didn't really rally with everything else, and then yesterday it perked up, gave you a gap up today into the moving averages and closed negative. So if you're an active trader, I'd probably be very cautious here just in case. It's been very good to us, or a lot of the traders this year, where that and FireEye were on my 2015 thesis, and in February went from 35 to almost 70 and doubled, then gave you another nice trade here, gave you another nice trade there, tried to break out, and kind of failed. So at this point, you have to just be a bit careful. So and give it more time to rebuild. Oil, oil broke below this channel, which, oil has been in this channel for a while, so you haven't heard much about it until today. And today it broke below it, and we'll see what happens next. I think I don't know if the street's going to say it's good or bad or whatever, but it's now below the moving averages, and we'll see what's next. The XLE has been broken for a long time. A lot of bottom callers in that one, okay? I know that a lot of guys played it here, for a bounce, and you had a nice red dog reversal right there, okay? Never got violated. Came into the moving averages, then another one, and then look at this outside day. On this outside day, okay, a lot of guys said, okay, I'm done with it, especially since it was still below the 200-day, which means it's not really institutional quality. You could have done that. You could have drawn your line right here, or even waited till there when it lost the 8 and 21 day. It resumed, was above it, uh-oh, and then get out of the way, and now look where it is. And if you use the 200-day and you use the proper rules, okay, you would have been out of this a long time ago. This is when it had a really good trend. This is your 200-day trend. Here's your active trend. Okay, that was, your 8 and 21 day broke right there. And then you could have even waited and had confirmation for it to break here before getting out. Most momentum and active traders would have seen this head and shoulders pattern, said, okay, I'm getting out of it, broke there, okay, and if you're like, I'm a long-term investor, I like XOM, I'm in CVX, okay, well, once it got below the 200-day and stayed below the 200-day, hopefully you got out then, because you could have saved yourself another, another 20, 30 points or whatever it was, and I'm sure with stocks even more. So that's why I talk about the importance of the 200-day. Talk about the importance of the 8 and 21 day as an active trader trading for P&L and cash flow, because when things are above it, you try and be long, you try and be in a portfolio approach, you try and ride the momentum. When things break it, you get a little neutral and you get a little bit more flexible and tactical. But after that happens, you could test a 50-day, you could test a 100-day, you could test a 200-day. But when an indice gets below the 200-day and doesn't show life there, sometimes it'll go below the 200-day for a day, 2 days, pop back above it, it's a sell chop, and then it goes back up. And that was your buy. Sometimes it goes below the 200-day and stays there, finds no traction, okay, and then that means real selling, like you saw in oil and the energy group. So lastly, let's just take a look at the Dow, which has been riding the 200-day for the majority of this trend. You had one overthrow below it, and here you are, kind of hugging it again. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I drew this chart earlier, okay, and here's a 200-day. It was below it 1 day, 2 days, a little bit above. It's still below this little neckline of support it broke. So see what happens here if it stays in here for another session or so, because next time it gets below this, that could mean trouble. But the key word is could. Okay, at this point you don't know. We'll see. And I think the next time the spiders of the SPX, if it gets rejected here, okay, and comes back down, next time it gets to the 200-day, it might not act so well around it. But for right now, it held it, and you had a little bounce back. Okay, now we'll see what happens here. And with all that said, let's see if we can put some music back on for us. Can you focus on this? Remember this old group? Everyone's so serious in life. Try not to be too serious because you only live once, or you might be reincarnated if you believe in that. It's a summer. Have some fun. July 4th is coming, one of my favorite holidays. I love to watch the fireworks and look at the kids' eyes and see how they enjoy it. And hopefully you do so too. This week's almost over. We'll figure out the clarity. You got Greece over the weekend. There's still some unknowns. And once we get more clarity, maybe we'll get a trend versus this choppy mess. But even within this choppy mess, if you don't, let your frustration get the best of you, and you pick and choose your spots, and you pick and choose your setups, and stay in control, you can make some money while we're trying to figure it out. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.